Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about pressure tanks for your well. And this here is a well T. So this is the apparatus used to connect your well through a switch to your well pump. Basically, water is going to come in from your well. This here is going to make up 38 psi. And when you get below that, this switch is going to send a signal to your pump located in your well to send water. All right, and then this goes into a bladder tank, which I'll show you later. The bladder is set at 38, this is at 40. So either way, has a couple different things on it. On the end here, we're starting off with 1¼ inch threads. This is going to be an air chuck. The only thing they had was to step it down with bushings. You have a drain valve here, a relief valve here, and this is where it's going to connect to the well tank itself. Now, beans, this is longer than the one I have. It's going to end up going something like this. But I thought I would show soldering this all together and the installation. Now let's discuss the why of this. The why is, since this is going to be a set measurement from the makeup of your tank to your center line, we're going to make this up first and install it. Then on this side where it connects to the incoming service, we'll be able to go from our makeup on this female iron pipe adapter to the center line, of where that pipe comes down. You also want to get all the joints made up beforehand, before they're installed. So now that I know what this is, I can take it off, get all these soldered, ready to go, let it cool down, install it here, have all this stuff off of it, spin it on, and then have a union on the 3/4 inch side over here. I've gone ahead and cleaned the outside of our pieces of pipe and the inside of our fittings using brushes, sandcloth, wire wheels. Now it's important to use a flux. This flux is old, but that really shouldn't matter. And all it does is chemically clean the pipe, the material, before you solder or weld it. It's also important to do these joints soon after you clean them, and it's a smart idea to set them up and do them all at once. And it's been a while since I've soldered, but should be like riding a bike, right? Okay. Well, there we go. Now, we are going to use the flat spots of this female iron pipe adapter just to snug that up. There we go. Move that out of the way. And we've got our 95.5 solder here. And I had a torch at one point in my life. Okay. So we're going to start at the back and move forward. See if you guys can see that a little better. Okay, so we're going to start here. and move forward. It's down at just a little bit of an angle, so most of our heat's going to rise. Let's get that out of the way. And we're going to start by heating the bottom and working around. And then up the sides. You want to stay away from the pipe and focus on the cup of the fittings. This will help draw our solder in. Started melting a little bit there. There we go. See, that drew it right in. Actually see it on the inside. Now we're going to move up to that next one. Use the torch to draw it. Oh yeah, that took it all. This 1.25 inches here is going to be take a little bit more heat than that 1 inch. Oh, yeah. And our last joint here. This is a little bit bigger of a fitting. Got a little more meat to it. So it's going to take just a little bit extra heat. I think that'll probably do. Oh yeah. Nice little cap on top. There we go. I like it. Now we'll go back to our flux. Now there's some guys that do this all the time that are way more proficient at it than I am. I've done miles and miles of it, but that was a long time ago. Looking good. See a nice ring of solder all the way around the inside of that. So now that this is done, it'll allow us to put this pipe thread into this female pipe thread here and have our distance set. And at that point, I can go ahead and install this on the tank and then know how much our takeoff for our water connection is going to be. Now, when it comes to mechanical pipe threads, this 1.25 inch national pipe thread here is brass. And I opted to go with stainless for these mechanical fittings here. So stainless has a real problem galding. Now, we'll call that top. Pipe threads are supposed to go 3.5 turns. 1, 2, 3. Hey, look at that. Before it gets hand tight. That's about right. When you go stainless to stainless, they tend to gald. We call that 1, 2, 3. Half, man. Okay, well, these seem to be doing all right. Either way, we are going to, on the stainless to brass, we're going to use a monster thread tape. And you want to go the opposite direction of the threads. 1, 2. You only really need 2, and we will finish that off with a couple dabs of rectum seal number 5. If you don't have rectum seal number 5, you can use a rectum seal number 2.5 twice, or you can use a rectum seal 2 and a rectum seal 3. Rectum, damn near killed him. But just a couple dabs will do you. You don't have to paint it all the way up. And that will seal just fine. On the stainless ones, we are going to use a anti-seize Teflon tape. And I have in the past used just normal Teflon tape and put a dab of anti-seize on there. But about 2 wraps is all you need. You don't have to doll it all the way up. It's just wasteful. And I wish they would have had just the 1.25 to 1/4 inch reducer, but of course the do-it-yourself shop did not, and the actual parts pipe store was closed today, so it really doesn't matter, but would have been easier. Hi, Rex. So this Teflon tape here that has anti-seize in it will create lubricant as it tightens in. And this is way easier than getting actual anti-seize out, because you'll end up with that everywhere. There we go. So we will start with pipe wrenches. You don't want to bottom those out. Now on that cat, I'll have to use a pipe wrench. And get my fancy spud potato wrench here. Ooh, just too small. And our last one on our air valve. There we go. Okay. We're going to repeat that process for our relief valve. Brass to brass. Just a dab of that rectum seal number 5. And this relief is just in case you were to overpressurize. It's spring loaded, set to 100 psi. At that point, it will blow off until it goes below. Next, we have our drain valve. There we go. Shut that valve now. And we're going to set that about like so. The reason why is the tank will be sitting over here. It's only so far off the ground, so I have a place to get that hose up to my drain. Okay. Now I want to leave the gauge and the pressure switch off because this will have to spin on, and they sit pretty tall. So depending on how high the pressure tank is, you want to leave this off, put them on last with your connections. To start with, we have our isolation valve from the well shut. And this used to go to the house, so we're going to remove this 3/4 inch standpipe from where it used to connect into the actual water supply. That's going to come out. Our new supply from the well is going to come from this pipe, 90 and over. So now that our isolation valve is shut, we are going to open the pressure switch up, check voltage, find the breaker, shut off the disconnect, and start removing this. We actually have a disconnect right here for that, so we can shut that guy down. We open that up. You see that the knives are away, so we are good to go. Let's look back down here. And we will disconnect this guy, wiring from the pressure switch. Now that our end piece is made up, there we go, about 3 on that one. We can put that cooled down piece of copper on the end here, and this is going to tell us what our end to center measurement is going to be for our supply. There we go. Got a little extra on there. That's pretty nice. It's all the way made up throughout there. The solder made it all the way through the joints, which is great. And we will have to use a pipe wrench on this guy as well. Beautiful. Now, we know that there you go, that's on center. We know that we are 19 and 7/16 makeup to center. So after installing that, we'll take the difference of that to our supply piping over here and make up that piece and install it. To keep these identifiable, we're going to go ahead and take these two and snip them so we remember their orientation. There we go. Like so. Open faces that way, so we're going to be pushing down on this cat. Galvanized 1.25 inches. Always use a holdback. There we go. That's some. Next, we're going to remove this guy. And 3/8 center to makeup of thread. Let's go make those. So originally, on the supply side of that well tee, we were going to use an 1.25 inch female iron pipe adapter, small piece of pipe, reducer, 1.25 inch to 3/4, and then I wanted to use a union. but the union will make us too long for our overall measurement. So what I am going to do is just use a 90, and I think what we'll do is make this piece up, let it cool down, and then install it, and then just have these field solders. So it'll be like so. And that comes out just perfect to our 6 3/8 there. So I think that's the way to go without reinventing the wheel. We really don't need a union. I guess that was just for ease of service, but really once we get it set up, it should be good forever, or for a long time at least. So I think that's what we're going to do. Showed you before. We are going to, those are both 1 1/4 joints, and they're going to go pretty quick. So you see the heat, moisture leaving that metal as we heat it. Start on the bottom. Kind of see it boil. That's the flux coming out. Not quite yet. There we go, that's nice and full. Come over here. Move right into this next one. Okay. Put a small bead on top. That will be good. Now we wait. See if I still got it, huh? Pressure switch is installed. One more time around. There, that reads right at us. Here you'll see me rewiring the pressure switch. It was a little tight spot to get in there, and the video didn't turn out as well as I'd like, but basically just rewiring the new switch in place of the old. Okay. Now, while it's disconnected, I'm going to pull these out and inspect. In fact, that 15 amp breaker is blown. Now we are going to replace the screw-in type fuses here on our disconnect, and we went with type T, which is for something with a motor on it, because there is a pump in the well. All right. Okay, done. Next thing we need to do is check what our pressure is in our bladder tank here. Now it is time to leak check this and see if it's going to work. So we are closed there. We're going to open water back up. Now we should be able to hit this disconnect, and we got water. And the gauge is slowly rising. Let's see if we get some. There we go. So our next attack here is to go outside and see if we have pressure at our spigots. Okay, now the moment of truth. Hasn't worked in 5 years.
I call that working.
I do too.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's been sitting. There we go.
I wouldn't drink out of that.
You wouldn't? Dogs will.
I will, because they don't know.
Yay! Don't forget to get your well water tested. Most municipalities will do this free of charge. I've got a kit I'm going to send off to a lab just to make sure the drinking water is safe. Thanks for watching.